Hello and welcome everyone to an unexpected feature, but my live reaction videos in the past have been popular, so we're gonna try and do another one. I realize I can. Okay, that good. Okay, I can watch the chat without it showing up on the video. That's good. Oh boy, my laptop is lagging. Can people hear me and see me and that sort of thing? So this was quite quite unexpected because I just posted this puzzle about, it feels like 6 seconds ago. I posted it yesterday, so I wasn't expecting. I'll be honest, I wasn't really expecting this one to appear at all because it's a little on the easier side, and they don't do a lot of 2-star puzzles on Cracking the Cryptic. But I'm happy to see it and happy to see how it goes, although I see that the title of the video is The Unrememberable Rule, which suggests to me this might be a bit more of an adventure than I intended it to be. Let's make sure you can hear Simon as well. Okay, excellent. So before I get to watching Simon, I wanted to talk a little bit about the origin story of this particular puzzle. And the origin story of this particular puzzle... Ooh, Doomdiot's birthday puzzle to Tristan on Mark today. Oh, it's Zeta and family all over today. That's awesome. The origin story of this particular puzzle is that I was teaching this Sudoku course. So if you've not heard me talk about this, I taught a 4-week-long intro to setting Sudoku. So it meant 15 hours a week, so 60 hours total. The students turned in lots of puzzles that were very neat. There was lots of cool stuff. But a couple of the things that students did inspired me to think about things I had not thought about before. And so this puzzle that's featured here by Simon was inspired by this puzzle by one of my students, Nastya, which I realize I should... I probably am just going to show you this part of the grid and call it good enough. But the thing in this puzzle is that... we have these sort of 5 arrows that are telling you've got these 2 numbers that sum to 5, but also German whispers floating around. And there are a lot of different versions of this puzzle of a lot of different levels of difficulty, but many of them involved keeping sort of careful track of the 2 different ways to sum to 5 in a German whispers puzzle. And this idea of keeping track of the 2 different ways to sum to 5, but in a German whispers puzzle, was something I'd never seen before, I don't think. Certainly not something that sort of consciously came in my mind. And I was sort of thinking about this and mulling over, like, what are the ways that one could actually use this idea? And what this eventually led me to think about was, I could make a German whispers puzzle, but with no givens, if I have it be anti-V, so that is if no pair of digits add to 5. So the way I chose to sort of riff on Nastya's idea was to say, okay, instead of caring about the ways of adding to 5 in this way where I show some things that add to 5, I'm going to care about the ways of adding to 5 by saying you're not allowed to ever do that in the entire grid. And I admit that this is sort of like, almost like setter inside shop kind of stuff, because, like, you probably don't care about a given list German whispers puzzle unless you normally set puzzles. But a thing that shows up a lot when you're setting with a bunch of constraints is there's a lot of constraints where you can't distinguish between a 1 and a 9, a 2 and an 8, a 3 and a 7, and a 4 and a 6. Like, 2 to the 10th has a whole genre of puzzle based around the fact that you can't distinguish between these 2 things in all of these different constraints. And so we're talking about German whispers, Renbahn, X's, white Kropke dots. It's just a whole bunch of different things where just sort of you can't distinguish between those polarities. And so the reason why a givenless whisper puzzle is exciting to me is because it means that I've found some sort of sneaky way to distinguish between the polarities. Now, if you're a longtime fan of the Zeta oeuvre, if you will, you'll notice I've actually done this before. Namely, both the puzzles Arsha and Kodama, which are my two puzzles that feature Schrodinger cells. With both of them, one of them is Renbon X, and one of them is Whispers X. There's a very similar joke, if you will, where the joke is that there's no givens to distinguish them, but then somehow because of the S cells, and in fact it's actually because of what S cells do with X's, you suddenly are able to distinguish between high and low. In fact, if you look closely at the grid of Kodama, which is very much a 5-star puzzle, and closely at the grid of Swirl, which is very much a 2-star puzzle, then you'll see the break-in is almost identical, even though this puzzle does not feature S cells or anything like that. But you'll see sort of when I was trying to figure out how to implement this idea, I did go back to something that I had used previously in Kodama. So if you made that notice, a few people are like, "Hey, this looks like Kodama." But there are a lot of people out there with some Kodama-related trauma who were a little afraid as to how difficult this 2-star puzzle was really going to be, and it turns out I think it's not that bad, although given the title, I suspect we're about to watch Simon have some difficulty with it. Perla points out that black dots are great, and so one of the reasons why I think black dots are one of the best Sudoku mechanics there is that black dots completely act on a different axis than these vast swaths of mechanics that work on the sort of 1 to 9 backwards and forwards mechanic. And so black dots disambiguate lots of things. And so actually the very first Renbon puzzle I set was a givenless Renbon puzzle with a single black dot, I believe. Jay Dyer believes it will be 35 minutes until Simon applies anti-X. Hopefully he never applies anti-X, because the puzzle's not anti-X, but until he applies anti-V. Let's see. Okay, so anyway, I think that's enough prelude, but I wanted to tell you, since there's an origin story of this, what the origin story was. Oh, I should also tell you that in the next day or two, I'll be posting another 2-star puzzle that was inspired by something a student did. And so you can look forward on LMD to that, or if you're really eager, it's already posted on my Discord and in Sudoku testing, so it's not like it's a huge secret, but there's another really cool one coming down the line, at least in my opinion.
Welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we have what I believe is an approachable puzzle for you, unlike the last couple of days, which have been monstrously hard puzzles. This is called Swirl, and it's by the great Zetamath. And it's got a very cool and short rule set, which I'm almost certainly to forget the latter half of. the second rule...
Well, this is ominous... foreshadowing. Let's see. Okay, people are saying Simon's a little quiet. Let's see if I can make Simon a little louder. Okay, I think this will make Simon a little bit louder. It's always exciting to me, like thinking back, like to like my earlier features and how like now he says the great Zetamath, which is very, very flattering, and I feel like I have like achieved stardom in this little world, and that's really cool. But I think back to all the original videos where Mark and Simon always would say it is zetamath because British people say zeta instead of zeta. And so I feel like part of me like making it in the Sudoku world was that they identified that I was American and started saying it as zetamath instead of zetamath, which was very cool. Let me know how Simon is now.
Cool is that no pair of orthogonally adjacent cells in the grid, so i.e. no dominoes in the grid, can contain digits adding to 5. So yeah, well, I'm sure I'm going to need that to solve it, but it's got a whopping high rating on Logic Masters Germany, this, and I was reading the comments just before I turned on the webcam, and someone said, yes, I did this with my child, and we loved it, so apparently it's child's play. We'll see in a moment or two. What do I need to tell you about first? Well, we're going to return to streaming the game Teiji tomorrow night. Yeah, I'm sorry we've had a bit of a hiatus on that, but we are going to attempt
speaking
again
of, I need to return
revisit
to
that world.
I need to return to streaming Teiji as well. I actually considered doing it on Saturday, and then I was like, oh no, I am going to be so exhausted if I do. But probably next weekend or something, I might stream more. I really enjoyed my first time of streaming it, and I think we got through about half of it, so we might be able to knock it out in 1 or 2 more streams. We'll see. But anyway, I will probably also do it. And then I part of the reason I'm really excited to do it is because I want to go back and watch Simon do all the things that I've done, but I can't do that until I've finished beating the game. Anyway, I also, by the way, would just say you should play the game because it's very good. If you've not played it and haven't watched someone play it, I recommend it.
10 p.m. tomorrow, we'd love to have your company as we make our way through that puzzle game, and very cool it is too. Then I've got a couple of birthdays to do. Leonie, it's your 32nd birthday today, and I know this because over there in the Netherlands, your boyfriend Vincent wrote to us and said you'd appreciate a shout out. So Leonie, I hope you're able to have chocolate cake to celebrate, and of course you have a great day today. And then David, down there, all the way down there in Geelong, near Melbourne, go Cats, has turned 50 today. And I know this because your brother Rowan wrote to us. And Rowan, you did solve correctly the whole of Jay Dyer's Sudoku hunt for January. So I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone by doing this birthday announcement. David, I hope you have a fantastic birthday. Rowan, you've got your shout out for finishing Jay Dyer's hunt. And in fact, I'll read some more names for correct solvers of the whole thing. So well done to Sampath Kumar, Hazlet 92, John Bruns, Melissa Hernandez, Martin Arts, Luke Bovard, Testarossa, Grufty, James Farrer, Marshall Anderson, and the dogs Neville, Scout and Midge. I'm sure they were very helpful, Marshall. Don Stanley, Rob Driscoll, Shane
Glad you
Bowden,
enjoyed it, Eaton.
Michael Stranieri,
Eaton?
Jose Cusco, Lapsed
Let me know
Memory,
if I get it
and
wrong.
Lavender Gooms. You all sent in the correct entry. And we have, well, it's not long, 2 days' time, we've got the Glum Hippo Sudoku hunt, which is all about fossils.
Not a 10 lines puzzle today,
Jay.
Jaleb.
The chance to
regular
win
German whispers.
The Glum Hippo plushie.
I did realize I had like 3
hand,
features in a row that were all 10 and 20 lines related.
It's high in demand. So if you want to win the plushie, then yeah, get your pencils sharpened, because on the 1st of February, that reward will be coming out. But now we get to solve zetamath, hopefully. Let's have a look at Swirl, and I'll read you the rules. They are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply.
Well, this is at least a reasonably short solve, Cody, so hopefully it won't affect your bedtime too badly.
Adjacent digits on a green line must differ by at least 5. So these are normal so-called German whispers. This is a German whispers constraint. I don't know where that name came from.
Oh, so Ambrose is saying that they made the German whisper a different color. That's actually my fault. So I actually set this puzzle entirely in class while students were working across a series of days. And when I was in class, I was on a computer that I didn't have access to do stuff like Tamper Monkey with, so I didn't have the usual script to draw it in the same homogeneous green color that it always is. So I just looked up the color code for lime green and made it that. So the reason why it's a weird color is because I did it in F puzzles without Rank's script to make all German Whispers puzzles look the same. But I think you're the first person I've seen point out the fact that the green is weird. But yeah, I like this green. I think possibly better than that one. But yes, I feel like I was going to say something else, but now I've forgotten what it is. Oh yes, do please give the original Simon video a like here for this.
Originally,
he deserves it.
But let's say that this,
especially for what I'm about to do to him.
Let's say this cell here was an 8. If that was an 8, this cell would have to be at least 5 different from 8. So it would have to be 1, 2, or 3. They would be the options for that green line. And then we've got the bit about no domino can contain digits summing to 5. So imagine we worked out this cell here was a 1, then none of these cells could be a 4, because if any of them would be a 4, we would be able to create a domino that's with digits summing to 5, and presumably that would break the puzzle. zetamath puzzles are always a treat, so do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play. Let's get cracking, hands on the keyboard, and well,
originally, actually, since I set this over several days, the lines from each day were a slightly different color of green. So I did at least at the end go back and fix it so they were all the same color of green.
It's called Swirl, presumably because of the great big swirl in the grid. And I guess, actually, before we start, I should tell you the 2 secrets of German whispers, which I'm sure are going to be important. So what are the secrets of German whispers? Well, these are different from the general secret about Sudoku, which I'm fairly sure won't come into this puzzle. No, it probably won't come into this puzzle. There's very little arithmetic to be done in this puzzle. But the secret of green lines, well, the first secret is you can never put a 5 on a green line. Let's try and put a 5 on and see why it breaks. If we put a 5 on a green line, the next digit becomes impossible because we need digits that are 5 away from 5 at least. If we go downwards, we're going 0. We're getting to 0 or negative territory. If we go upwards, we're going to 10 or higher, and they don't work. So you can never put 5 on a green line. Now let's just pause there and see. I'm seeing, no, actually, for some reason I thought that's why it couldn't be a 5. That's not true. 5 in box, no, actually, hang on, 5s, maybe they aren't the key to this then. 5 in this box might be the most restricted thing. I think it's got to be in one of 2 places. 5 in row, no, 5 in row 7 I thought I was going to be able to place, but no. I think it's got one of 2 positions to go into. Okay, so that's the first half of the secret. Let's try the second half of the secret about green lines, which is that they have what we call oscillating polarity. What on earth does that mean? Well, let's try it with a short line
High-lowity,
first.
Simon. The technical term is high-lowity.
The idea is that whatever this digit is, we can define it in one of 2 binary ways. We can say it's either less than 5 or it's greater than 5, because it can't be 5. Now imagine it's less than 5. What's the characteristic of this digit, the next digit on the line? Well, if this is less than 5, because this digit is at least 5 away, even if this was a 1, this digit would have to be the other side of 5. It would have to be 6 or higher. So if that's lower than 5, this is higher than 5, and then that would be lower than 5 again. It would flip back the other side of 5. So you get this oscillation. So what I think I need to do to start this puzzle is to shade this line with each alternate cell.
So a thing that's really unique about German whispers that is relevant to what's happening now is that German whispers aren't really a line constraint at all. And what I mean by that is that a German whisper is only really expressing a relationship between 2 cells. And actually, this gigantic German whisper is really just a bunch of different relationships between 2 cells. There's no coherent identity to it holistically. Like, for example, in a Renban, it's actually a statement about all of the digits together. A German whisper isn't that at all. And so what that means is anytime in a puzzle, you can always extend a German whisper. And so in this puzzle, actually, one thing that was apparent when you looked at the version where I had a different color of green for every day is that this line in the middle, the swirl, just kept getting longer as it went on. Because at first, it was just the square around the center. And then it was the square around the center plus this 1 bit. And then it's like, oh, actually, I can get another digit if I add this 1 bit. And so, like, one little tiny bit at a time, this thing just kept getting longer around here. And that's something you couldn't do with a constraint that was actually a line. But you can actually do that with a German whisper. You can always just make a German whisper longer, and it's not going to break anything you already knew. I mean, it might break the puzzle because there might not be any solutions anymore, but it's not going to break any logic you've already done because they're completely separate.
Which looks like all of those have the same colour. Now we get the colour choice question. I'll go blue for those. And we'll make these other cells orange. So we now know, and it's all instantly interesting actually. Yeah, okay. So although we don't know whether the blue digits are high or low, we can see, look, that we've got a whole set of blue digits in column 6. And what do I mean by a set of digits? Well, because we know that blue is either the digits lower than 5 or higher than 5, if blue is low, these are the digits 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Chat pointing out he's
if
missing
blue
the
is
cell.
high, they're the digits 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we know that the rest of this column, so that cell. So we know the rest of this column contains either the 5 or orange digits. Well, this cannot be a 5 because it's on a whispers line. So that is orange, which means this is blue because we have to oscillate polarity. And we're starting... Oh, no. Hang on. Have I made... No. All right. I suddenly thought...
Also, spoiler, his coloring is backwards. He took a 50-50 shot on getting the coloring right. But sadly, he did not.
I seem to have missed a sellout here. I think that was just... I'm going to double check my shading now.
I have miscolored a German whisper line by missing one so many times.
If I've got 2 digits on the line of the same colour, that will obviously not be correct. I think it looks
That's
okay.
exactly what I do, Daniel.
Missed that one out. I've now got 3 oranges in in column 7. And
this is the second of my puzzles that Simon has high-low colored, where he's made high
Here is
blue and orange low.
Those 2 digits, where do they go in box 5? That's quite an interesting question. Because they're orange, so they can't be blue. Orange and blue are different. They can't go in those cells, so they go in those 2 cells. They can't be the same digit, so they've got to occupy those 2 cells. And that means we get a digit. We have found a weird naked single in the centre of the grid. So often the centre of a grid in variant Sudoku is a 5. Well, that is a 5, and the reason I know it's a 5 is it sees, by the power of orangeness, all 4 orange digits, and by the power of 4 blue digits
I'll let
in its
Zach
box,
do a digit dance for that.
It can't be blue either, so it's neither blue nor orange, and therefore it can only be 5. And those 2 squares have to be the remaining 2 oranges. Oh, look. Yes, okay, so now row 5 contains blues because it's got 4 oranges and a 5 in it. And in fact, of course, column 5 has all blues. And we're actually getting somewhere here, because we've got 4 oranges and a 5. This is what's catching my eye now. Probably not the most sensible place to look, but of course, if we consider
I agree, Perla.
any domino
Microstudy really loves the 5 dance.
line
It's a
in the
shame
puzzle,
that he missed it.
we know
Or
it
they missed
contains
it.
1 of each colour, because it must oscillate polarity. So there must be a blue cell in one of those 2 cells, and that means that in this box, look, all 4 blues must be contained within those 5 cells. So this cell can't be another blue. So that's got to be orange, and that gives us some more oranges by oscillation along this line. Oh, no, I thought I was going to get something in row 7, but alas. Alas, poor Yorick, and alas, poor Simon, no.
I know a 5 in row 5, column 5 in a Zeta puzzle. What is the world coming to, indeed?
I'm not seeing anything else. Sorry, that was a bit of a pregnant pause, wasn't it? I am trying to look for something else. Oh, where does 5 go in this box now? So because we managed to eliminate 5 from these cells, I think everything else in this box is on a green line. So we can hide 5 in the corner. 5's got to be in a domino at the top of column 4. So we now know what that digit is. That digit is orange. I've not got 4 oranges in that column. So this square, do I know what that one is? No, I don't think I do. Okay.
It is amazing
God,
how
that was
going
orange,
over
it would
the
be hugely
rules
powerful.
He literally
Because if that
says,
was
I'm going to
orange,
forget
it's
one
not
of the
only
two
completing-
rules,
or
and then
completing
immediately
the quota
forgets it.
of oranges in box 6 and making oranges core 8 there, it would make this blue, and that would complete the blues in row 7. So that would get me the polarity of that line as well. Okay, I'm not seeing much more. I think I'm going to have to think about this other rule. The rule that I barely remember. So dominoes can't add up to 5. Is that where we go next, or do we think about... Let me just think about this. Hang on. How am I going to determine which of orange and blue is high and low? So it must be something to do with dominoes that are being formed in the same colour in the grid. And so for some reason, one of the colours is not going to work with the low digits.
It's basically the point for anti-V logic. Well,
I haven't got an answer to that question, by the way. I haven't got an answer to that question. I've seen something else, which is this cell. That's really brilliant. That's really, really beautiful. I won't actually... I'll give you a moment. Just think about that cell for a moment, if you've not seen anything cool about it, because it's really, really interesting to me. Admittedly, I might not be the person that you would seek out at a party. I am normally there, standing in the corner. That's me in the corner.
The other day in a video, Simon said that he was at a party, and for the first time ever, he was recognized, which seems just insane to me. Like, if he ever leaves his house, it seems to me like with how many subscribers Cracking the Cryptic has, it should happen all the time. But I was just like thinking about like, wow, that's really surprising. But anyway, him mentioning that made me think of that.
And not normally in the spotlight. But this cell here, I can tell you some stories about. It is very interesting.
It's funny because I have absolutely no idea what's interesting about this cell.
So hopefully, if you didn't spot it, hopefully you paused the video and gave yourself a moment. For those of you who managed to do it, congratulations. The reason this is interesting is, I think it's true to say that, well, I mean, I suppose
I did know that, Mixo, I suppose.
Sort of points of the spiral. But I think these all have to be different. Because this digit, if we ask where it goes in box 5, it's
okay. That is definitely the intended thing,
and therefore it can't go on another point of the spiral. But the same is true here. That cell is forced into one of those; it can't go there. This cell is forced into one of these; it can't go there. So these digits are different, and what that means is that this cell is extreme, because that is where the symmetry breaks. It's really beautiful, actually, this. It's a lovely little idea. And what do I mean by extreme? Well, what I'm thinking is, because I know that this is either... Because these digits are all different, they're either 1, 2, 3, and 4, or 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now, that...
Yeah, 57 Thorns. That's definitely how I placed the 5 in the center box. Simon had this way of noting, like, oh, I can place these 2 oranges in box 5, and now this is a naked single because it sees all 4 blues in the box and all 4 oranges in the row. I definitely was thinking about it the way you were. And yeah, I was also thinking, Ambrose, that his definition of extreme is actually like kind of the opposite of extreme.
That means one of them, imagine they're 1, 2, 3, and 4. I need to make one of these a 4. And 4 is a very difficult digit to put on. I didn't use this in the secret explanation, but it's a very difficult digit to put on a whispers line, because it only has one natural partner, and that's the digit 9. We need a digit 5 away from 4. It's the same if we think about which one of these could be the 6, if orange turns out to be the high numbers. Because 6 only has one
extremely
natural
non-extreme
partner.
digits.
So
I like that, Andrew. I'm going to steal that.
It breaks because both of those have to be 1. And that's going to be the case if we put 6 here or 4. It's going to be the case if we put 6 or 4 here. The only place we get away with it is here. And because we know that because these digits are all different, one of these had to be the extreme digit, or what I'm calling the extreme digit, the digit with only one partner, the monogamous digit. So this has to be the monogamous digit. It's got to be the 4 or the 6.
Oh, the monogamous digit. Oh, I love that
and
too.
And therefore, these squares have to be the partner, the monogamous partner of the 4 or the 6. So these squares...
I really love that the monogamous digit has the most... has the partner with the most friends, we'll say. We'll avoid slut-shaming. We will say that the monogamous digit's partner is the most available partner.
Squares are 1s and 9s. Now,
I like Daniel's story that it has 2 identical twin partners.
What does that mean? The answer to that is... I'm not sure. I was hoping that was going to yield... something. There is... Oh, I see. Oh my goodness me, that is quite stunning. I think I've got this. I think I understand. Oh. Wow. Absolutely wow. That is so pretty. That is so pretty. Right. Okay, we might have been able to come at this in a different way, but I've come at it this way.
I'm just going to note, Acid Helm, that the video where Simon said thruple about 300 times is one of my... I feel like that is one of my greatest accomplishments as a Sudoku setter, is getting Simon Antony to use the word thruple over and over and over again in a video.
And what I want to think about now is the middle box. And this might have been where I was meant to start, but I didn't start there. So I want to look at these 4 cells. Now, I got obsessed with this digit and noting that these 4 digits were all different in orange, but obviously these 4 digits are all different in blue. Now, there's a problem here, again, with what we're calling the monogamous digit, the 4 or the 6. Which one of these could be the monogamous digit? Let's try and make it this one. Let's make this a 6. Why is that a problem? Well, it's because if this is 6, both of those are 1, and now you can't put 1 in the middle box. Because if this is 6, blue's high, so blue can't be 1, and these 1s sort of pinch the rest of the box away. You can't do anything. It's broken. So the monogamous digit is going to have to go in this cell. So that has to be a 4 or a 6. But now look at this domino, because something rather extraordinary has happened to this domino. If blue is low, what do we put into this domino? We put the unmemorable rule. Well, the unmemorable rule comes to our rescue, because this square here, if that's 4, that will have to be 1, because these are the same colour, and 4 and 1 are not allowed to go next to each other because they add up to 5. That is absolutely beautiful. So it's the double effect of the spiral. These cells combined with these cells and the way they interact. The zetamath, that is so pretty. It really is gorgeous. And now we're away, because we've now worked out that it's not possible for these to...
So when I was thinking, like, okay, how am I going to make an anti-V German whispers? Because I sort of started from, I want to do that. How on earth am I going to do it? The first thing I thought was, okay, how am I going to actually disambiguate high and low? And the thing I thought about was, I'm going to need to put a cell marked 1-9 next to a 4-6 pair. And so I first thought, how do I make a 4-6 pair appear in a Sudoku puzzle? And so I knew that this would produce, I knew that this this square, I knew because I'd used it in a puzzle before, I knew that would make a 4-6 pair automatically. And then it was like, okay, well, how do I make this a 1 or a 9? And I thought for a long time about how to actually make this cell a 1 or a 9. And then I realized that sort of the natural way to do it was just to connect it to one of the 4-6s. I did contemplate a version where you had to make a separate chain of deductions to get that this had to be a 1 or a 9, and then realized that whether this was 1 or 9, it couldn't be 1 because of these 4-6s, and then I decided this puzzle didn't need to be super tricky, so I could do this, and I'm happy that Simon has gone right to this.
To be low, so we can actually write them in. We can write 6 and 9 in. We now know this is 4, this is 9. These two have to be 7 and 8, therefore, because they're not 6 and 9. 4 has to go in one of those cells by Sudoku. 6 must be next to 1 on a whisper, because we need a digit that's 5 away. We know that because we know that the points of the spiral are all different, we can put 2 and 3 into those squares. Yes, okay, and because they're different, because these are different, one of these is a 3. One of those two squares must be a 3. They can't both be 2. So this square cannot be a 7, because if it was a 7, it will be adjacent to a 3 on a whisper, and 3 and 7 are only 4 apart, not 5. So that must be 8, that must be 7, that must be 2, that must be 3. And the 2...
I always feel like 3 and 7, although they're not 5 apart, I feel like they sound 5 apart. Like, I feel like you probably should be able to just, in spirit, put a 3 next to a 7 on a whisper.
Is then sheltered between the 7, is sheltered between the 1 and the 2, and the whole world makes sense. So look. Now, this 3, where is its home in box 5? It can't be next to the 2, because that's a domino that adds up to 5. So we put 3 there. We put 1 there by Sudoku. This is a 2-4 pair.
Are we just going to say this is a 2-4 pair and just leave it there and move on? We are, aren't we?
We do. Now we get stuck. But I don't care if we get stuck now, because that spiral is an absolute wonder. It's so pretty. Okay, what we should probably do is continue to label up our lines, isn't it? Because now we know an awful lot about the colours. So this square has to be 1, 2, or 3. This square has to be 2 or 4 only. Now, can it really be 4? If it's 4, this is forced to be a 9. That might... Oh, no, the forgettable rule. It can't be 4 because it would be in a domino with a 1, Simon. Okay, and that can't be 4 because it would be in a domino with a 1.
I'm hoping he resolves only that 2-4 next to the 1 and not the other 2-4 next to the 1.
Okay.
Oh, he does.
So this is 2, 1, 3.
See, if this were me on stream, it would absolutely be me doing this on purpose. Because chat was yelling about it.
9. It can't be 9. So that's become an 8. 8 lives at the bottom of column 5. This square here is low, and it can't be 4. So it's 1, 2, or 3. It's not 2 by the power of Sudoku.
I will say, by the way, at the time I started setting this, I was wondering whether it was even going to be possible to set by hand, because I didn't have a solver, and there isn't a solver that only does anti-V to me, that I know about. There are multiple solvers I know that do anti-XV, but I specifically didn't want to do anti-XV, because that would sort of like ruin the whole joke of the puzzle. So I was curious, and it turned out it did not break very often, because in anti-V, you're actually only outlawing 2 specific dominoes. You're only outlawing 1, 4, and 2, 3. So when setting this, it was actually relatively easy for me to keep track of all the different ways that those things could break and make sure it didn't happen. It certainly broke a couple times, because I would end up filling in all the last digits and be like, oh crap, now there's a 2 next to a 3 down in here or whatever. But yeah, so it's actually it's not so bad. So I kind of I'm actually, now I will reveal, trying to like make an anti-V Renbon puzzle and see if I can make that work. But I think anti-V might have some legs, because it's sort of like, it's a negative constraint, but it's a very weak negative constraint. So you get to play the like what is it? Play gooseberry with the things and all that sort of logic that you get from that, but you don't have to keep track of too much.
This square is low and it's not 4, so it's 1, 2, or 3. Please keep an eye on the lines, the dominoes. Oh, yeah, okay, I need to do this. Look, this 4 can't be next to a 1. So that's 2 or 3. So this isn't able to be 6 or 9. So that's got to be 7 or 8. That square's got to be low and now can't be 4, because 4's not 5 away from 7 or 8. So that's become a 1 out of absolutely nowhere. 4 in this box now can't be next to 1, or we'll get a difficulty. So 4 is up there. 4 can't be here, because that would be a 9. So 4 is now locked into one of 2 places. 4 is in one of 2 places over here, and it can't go on the line, because that would be a 9 and it would clash. So we get a 4 here, which is our final orange look for this box, which means this must be blue, which means that must be orange, which means that we know it's a 4, that must be a 9. This has become an 8. Right, this is a 6 or a 7. This is high by the power of Grayskull, and therefore a 6 or 7. How did I know that was a 6 or a 7? Hang on, what did I just...
Conveniently, yeah, Jay, I agree with that. But then if you're doing that, then it's easy to use a solver too. So then you don't have to worry about You don't have to worry about enforcing the rule yourself. I mean, I'm sure it would be easy for those of you who use solvers yourself to make an anti-V solver. I just didn't happen to have one when I was making this, because I was making it while students were working.
Just do then. I don't know. Oh no, that is fair. Sorry, all I did was obeyed my own colouring of the grid. So I used the fact that I'd labelled this blue, and that was fair because there's a 5 in the middle. So 5 is now only got one place left in this box. That's probably been available for ages. Oh, maybe, I'm not sure actually. I think maybe once we got that 4, we cleared that up. So anyway, this is 6 or 7. So this is 1 or 2, and it's not 1 because it would be next to 4. So that's 2, which means that's 7, that's 6. So these are a 7-9 pair over on this side of the grid. I've got I haven't put 8 into this row, so this must be a 5-8 pair. These 2 squares must be 2, 4, which are legitimate digits, although 2 can't go... Oh, right, sorry, look, 2 and 4 by Sudoku are in these 3 squares, but this can be neither 2 nor 4. If it was 2, it makes a naughty domino. If it was 4, it puts a 9 here. So we get the 2-4 pair, and we know that this square now is a 6, which is a useful digit, a very useful digit, because 6 only has one. It's the monogamous digit. It only has one partner. So this now is a 1, a 1. That's become a 1. That's got to be 6, 7, or 8. I think all of which are legitimate options. Now, oh, Simon. 3 can't go next to 2. What a wally. This 1 at the bottom gives me a 3.
I appreciate that time he realized it had been there a long time. There's a lot of times where Simon sees something that has been available that I'm sure that the YouTube comment section has been trying to tell him about for 40 minutes, and he doesn't notice that. But this time he definitely noticed when he saw it that, oh, that has been there for a while.
Top, so that's got to be a 4, not on a whispers line, so not the most useful 4 we've ever seen in our lives. We can do some bluing and some oranging. These have both got to be orange look. Oh no, I tried to do Sudoku then. Don't be so silly, Simon. Why on earth would you reduce yourself to doing Sudoku at this juncture of a puzzle? Where does the 2 or the 3 go in box 8? Well, the answer is not there. Because if it did, that would be a naughty domino. So it must go there, and that's absolutely lovely because that determines the parity of this line, or the polarity of it.
You can't do Sudoku with that 2, Daniel, because the 2 isn't colored.
3, so that's got to be
and so because these two cells aren't the same color, they don't see each other.
a 1 or a 4.
So you'd have to think 2 steps
this would
ahead
be a
to see
9,
that.
and it can't be. So that's just become a 1 out of absolutely nowhere. One is making a home for itself at the top of column 1. This square is 6 or 7. Well, okay, so this can't be 3, because 3 could never be next to 6 or 7. So that's got to be 2. That's got to be 3. That's got to be 8 now, because it can't be 7. It would be too close. That's become a 5. That's become an 8, which gets a color.
I was afraid from the title that this would be a bad video, but no, this has been a great video. I agree, Ember.
This is no longer an 8. Okie dokie. Can we see anything else useful? Maybe I should colour in my 5s. No. Oh, this can't look. This is a 2, so it can't be next to 6. That's got to be a 7. So that's a 5-6 pair at the top of the grid. And that means those two squares are a 7-9 pair. Which I think we're going to have to use Sudoku to figure that out. This is a 6-8 pair.
The request for
Again,
a puzzle called Naughty Dominoes.
Sudoku is going to be our only avenue to resolve that. What about... okay, yes, that digit is a little bit interesting. Not very interesting, just moderately interesting. I can see it's not a low number because it can't be orange anymore. 1, 2, 3, and 4 all look at it, and it's not 5. So it's 7 or 9, and it's blue. But it's not, the thing is, it's not on a green line, so it's probably not a sensible thing to note. If this is orange, it has to be 2. Because 4 would be next to 1, and that's not allowed. So if this was 2, that would be a 6, or that would be a 7, and that would resolve these two digits. But if it's a high digit... Oh, no, that's right. Oh, that's much simpler. Okay, let's instead look at this digit. That digit really cannot be low, because it sees 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is a high digit, which means it is 6 or 7.
I find it very amusing because I do that a lot when I'm solving as well. Realize that I should have seen something.
Be next to 1 and 2 on the line. So we actually get another orange digit here. We've got a 6-7 pair here. We know that this is the 7. This is the 6. We need to put 5 and 5 in this row is now forced to be here, which means that square's got to be a 1 by Sudoku. We can put a 1 pencil mark at the top. We can orangify this. 5 doesn't deserve anything.
I agree.
And what have we got left to place?
Amen,
We've got
Simon.
3s, 4s, 6s, and 9. Oh, I see. Right, let's look at this line. Because the question we need to ask is, has it got 6 on it? And the answer is no, because 6 is the monogamous digit again. If it says a 6 on the line, it has to be accompanied by a 1, which it cannot be. So that's the only place 6 can go in the box. So 6 and 8 go in. And now there's only one high digit left. So we know the polarity of this. The high digit has to separate and keep apart the 3 and the 4 that otherwise want to get too cuddly. 4 in this column we can now place. It's got to go there, which means this square is a 7 or a 9. I'm seeing that's making a pair of 7s and 9s in row 1. This 7 is giving me a 7 here, a 9 here. How do I do the 3 and the 4 at the bottom? They're being recalcitrant. Don't be recalcitrant, you naughty digits. Have I done all my green lines now? I think I might have done, surprisingly. Okay, let's make sure we've got all the colouring going that we could possibly get. That's got to be a blue digit. It can't be low and it can't be 5. That's got to be a blue digit. These are both orange digits. That's definitely an orange digit. And... okay, so That digit is a 7 or an 8. We might not need colouring from now on. It's just quite exciting to keep it going, isn't it? All right,
I agree with
let's
that
have a
too. You're
look
really on fire
at-
today with things I agree with, Simon.
Where should we look? This row? I'm
Good
not
luck
sure.
with the calculus study.
3, 4, 5, and 9 into these squares. 3, 4, 5, and 9. So that can't be 5. That can't be 9 or 4. This square can't be 3 or 4. So have we got anything useful now when we stare back at this? The answer is apparently not. Okay, so it's going to be something else then. What about...
Well, at least it's not going to take him that much longer to identify the anti-V.
This is nearly a naked single. I think that has to be 3 or 6. It's in orange territory, it's only got 3 left. In blue territory, it's only got 6 left, and it can't be 5. So that's 3 or 6. 4 is in one of these 2 cells. 2 is in one of those 2 cells. We've already done the 1. The 6, no, the 6 has got 3 positions, so that's not helpful. 5, 9, no. I'm stuck. Oh, maybe it's this 7, 9 pair. Is that somehow helpful?
I mean, if he comes at it in a very roundabout way, that's perfully fine. I mostly was just afraid that there was going to be like a 20-minute period in the video where he did not find something because there was the anti-V stuff.
All of the green cells, because this is now feeling like I might not have done 3, 4, 7, and 8. This is a 3 or a 7.
I will confess I did get stuck for, I don't know, about 10 minutes on a Clover numbered rooms puzzle the other day because I convinced myself I had used every clue in the grid and was like, okay, it must just be Sudoku. And I was pencil marking every cell and looking at it. And of course, I had not used every clue in the grid.
No, that's not doing it either. 1s, 3s, 4s. No, I mustn't get stuck. No, it's going so prettily. What a disaster. I'm going to double click my 5s and turn them fluorescent. Maybe, I tell you what, it could be Sudoku. No, I was wondering whether it was the 5s and whether I could do some Sudoku to help me with 5s, because I'm not really focused on that at all. But I don't think it's that. So, I don't
Ambrose
know.
not a fan of that green, apparently.
About where to think. I think I'll have a look at this row. 3, 5, 6. 3, 5, 6, 7, 9. So that square is 3 or 9. That's not quite done it, has it? Oh, I've forgotten. I know what I've forgotten. I've forgotten the naughty rule again. Oh, Simon. Oh, look. Oh, I don't believe it. That's so embarrassing. It's an what's the right word for something that's completely unmemorable? It's not unrememberable. Is that a word? Unrememberable? It is completely unrememberable. Look, 1 and 4 can't go next to each other. Oh, for goodness sake. 4 and 2 go into the grid. Now this can't be a 3. Oh, I don't believe it. This is so embarrassing. You're going to have been absolutely yelling at me. 3 and 1 can just be done in this column now. 1 must be placed over there. Where does the 2 go? It can't go next to the 3. Okay, now I focus on it. I might be able to remember it. 2 goes in the corner. No song for you. 8 is sorted there. Look, that's become a 5. 5 and 6 go into the grid. This square here has got to be a 5. Okay, so I think all the 5s now might be done, especially if I write that one in at the bottom.
So we will not use anti-V for that 5. We will use Sudoku for that 5.
Greenify this one. 9 is a blue digit. This digit is a 7 or an 8, which apparently is not resolved. And we can ask questions.
You probably just didn't notice the 3 in the corner because it wasn't colored.
The answer is 3 or 7. Now, can it really be both of those things? I think that one actually can be. It's only the low digits I've got to concentrate on. And it's given me a 3-7 pair in this column, which seems to make that square have to be a 6. And if we look at this row now, that square can only be 8 or 9, which actually isn't resolved, is it? I don't think. Right. Oh, where does the
my chat, if I was doing this, would be yelling at the pointing octojopi in row 8.
Is in the corner. Okay, so now I get a 3-9 pair here. I get an 8 at the top. I get a 7-7 9 9-7 3-9. That's become a 3-7-8. And absent the absolute nonsense when I forgot the rule, just purely, you understand, because it's like some sort of Harry Potter spell and you can't actually remember it. It's nothing to do with my ineptitude at all.
So a lot of solvers come down to this 2-8 deadly pattern that you can see here at the end. That is a very common way for this puzzle to end up resolving. And of course, this 2-8 deadly pattern, you have to hunt and find that 3 disambiguates it. But I did like how even up to the very end, the anti-V is relevant. Simon did not like how even up to the very end, the anti-V was relevant.
I believe it's the solution to the puzzle. Very, very enjoyable. That has got one of the most beautiful little break-ins, that little vignette around this spiral, and the idea about these points, and the way that the symmetry breaks around this is quite gorgeous, zetamath. And I've no doubt that you chuckled away when you saw however long it was in that video when I couldn't remember the rule. But you did use the unrememberable rule, so it's really your fault. Thanks for watching. We'll be back later.
Admittedly, it is my fault.
Of Cracking the Cryptic. And I like the comments, especially when they're kind.
Be kind to Simon in the comments, please. There's a much earlier video. Sorry, my laptop, I realize, is not plugged in. Let me fetch the power cord, and then I will say more. There we go. Sorry, I was worried my laptop was going to die, and suddenly I was going to be talking to no one. There's an earlier video where Simon said something to the effect of, "Oh, I'm sure zetamath was cackling when he found that," which was, I'm certain true. I'm trying to remember what puzzle that was. I don't remember. I do remember, I think my favorite Simon quote directed at me in a video was, "You're a new breed of evil, my friend," which was in his solve of 2D wave particles, which is, I think, by a lot of measures, the cruelest puzzle that I have ever set. But that was very much memorable. Anyway, this was a super fun video. I enjoyed this a lot. There was much humor. Sorry, Swirl, but yeah, you can go back and watch the VOD if you want. It was a lot of fun to go through and see Simon solve of this one. There were no periods that were longer than the funny amount of time where he got stuck. And the fact that he immediately at the beginning said, "This is a very short rule set and I'm going to forget half of them," and then proceeded to forget 4 to 5 times throughout the solve was just, it does not get better sort of comedic timing wise than that. It was quite enjoyable. But he made it through, and that's what matters, right? Well, thank you to everyone who stayed up. I know it's very late in many parts of the world. A lot of people said, "Oh no, it's that late," but I was stuck at the office, so I couldn't watch the video or react to it until now. But this is a lot of fun, so thank you very much to everyone. If you could like this stream, and if you could go to the original video, please go like that as well. It is much appreciated. Thank you all. And if you stumbled upon this and you've never watched my channel before, I do stream Sudoku puzzles multiple days a week. So if you're interested in hanging out and watching, it is usually a good time. So I greatly appreciate everyone hanging out. But yes, thank you very much. I have greatly enjoyed streaming reactions to these, so I will probably do one again next time I get a feature. So do that. Amber donates $5 and says, "Fun video. Monogamous digits were the gift we did not know we needed." I agree, Amber. Thank you. We will get you a donation dance. Thank you, Amber. Woohoo! Waha! Wee! Thank you so much, Amber. Much appreciated. Yes, that was a that was a fabulous Simonism to add to the Sudoku lexicon. To add to the ever expanding Simon naughtiness list. Alrighty, well, thanks everyone for joining. I think I'm gonna go head off and have dinner for now. But I hope you all have a good evening, and I hope to see you all again around soon. Thank you so much for joining me. It was great having everyone here. Yeah, yes, good night. I know it is nighttime / well past nighttime for many folks. So sleep well, and I hope to see you all around next stream. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.